can tackle or manage a range of societal, economic, and environmental pressures. Some of these ecosystem pressures include, for example, greater urbanization. Urban, di- Urban development has a significant impact on the natural environment by altering the water cycle and transporting pollution to waterways. These impacts are likely to increase in Wales, given that there has been an increase in the number of households in Wales by 5.6% since 2011. The increasing, the increasing of hard surfaces in urban areas known as urban creep produces greater flows from combined sewer systems. We continue to pave around our homes and remove every trace of land that could absorb rainfall. Yet we consider rainfall a problem as something that we must collect and discard as quickly as possible. Year on year, we expect drainage systems to collect more and more rainfall until it no longer has the capacity to take it. This results in urban environmental damage across Wales or a need for larger infrastructure. It also results in flood risk being increased from rivers, seas, and surface water flooding. Approximately 1 in 7 properties in Wales are at risk of coastal or river flooding or some other form. Climate change is leading to sea level rise and more extreme weathers, such as wetter winters or drier summers. There's declines of biodiversity and degraded habitats, and pollution from agriculture, combined sewer system overflows, and an aging sewage system, runoff from roads, and land affected by contamination. There is also a competing demands on our landscape from increasing population, the impacts of climate change, and the strain on water demand, supply, and treatment. The population of Wales has grown by 44,000 since the last census in 2011, and in Cardiff, the population size increased by 4.7%, and in Bridgend, the population size has increased by 4.5% between 2011 and 2021. No matter what we do to manage Wales' natural resources, things are going to change. We can use nature-based solutions to help us manage and prepare for change and tackle these pressures. So you can see from slides that Wales has a range of legislation and policy relating to the water environment and people. Wales faces many environmental, societal, and development challenges. Meeting these challenges needs fresh ideas and new ways of thinking and doing things. This includes how we maintain, improve, and use our natural resources. The Natural Resources Policy priority of delivering nature-based solutions emphasizes using solutions that are inspired and supported by nature and use, or mimic natural processes to contribute to improved management and treatment of water or wastewater. The Environment Wales Act sets out the sustainable management of natural resources, or otherwise known as SMNR, which details using natural resources in a way and at a rate that maintains and enhances the resilience of ecosystems and the benefits they provide. In doing so, meeting the needs of present generations of people. Ecosystem resilience is the capacity of ecosystems to deal with disturbances, either by resisting them, recovering them, or adapting to them, whilst retaining their ability to deliver services and benefits now and in the future. The Wellbeing of Future Generations Act. In Welsh law, we have the Wellbeing of Future Generations Act to ensure that future generations have at least the same quality of life as we do now. Working together to improve our environment, our economy, our society, and our culture not only enables us to protect, sustainably manage, and restore natural and modified ecosystems, we can also address societal challenges and provide human well-being benefits. Restoring and managing nature also benefits us. The legislative framework in Wales provides an opportunity to radically change our approach to natural resource management in Wales by taking a more ecosystems-based approach and embedding SMNR principles. This means taking a holistic or an ecosystem approach to tackling environmental challenges rather than dealing with individual aspects separately. How does the ecosystem approach fit when we're talking about our drainage systems, and how specifically looking to move away from traditional drainage solutions? Localized flooding can occur due to overloading of volume-constrained drainage systems and sewers. While increasing drainage capacity will remove rainfall, and having bigger drains could be one solution, at the end of the pipe there will be a lot more water to manage. We can use nature-based solutions such as SuDS components, which reduce or attenuate surface water runoff, generally leading to lower volumes of water in combined drainage and sewer systems, and therefore reducing flows to sewage treatment works. SuDS are systems that mimic natural drainage and manage surface water runoff at or close to the surface, and as close to the source as practicable. SuD schemes manage surface water runoff through components that collect, store, and clean water before allowing it to be released slowly back into the environment, such as into watercourses. The most effective SuDS use a series of drainage components operating as close to the source as practical, working as a management train to reduce flow rates and volume of runoff, as well as to provide treatment of surface water runoff. As well as slowing the flow, cleaning water naturally, they also deliver a range of other economic, societal, and environmental benefits. Here are just a few examples of different SuDS components. There are three types of drainage methods involved in source control, and they allow for interception, infiltration, and storage of water, infiltration, retention, and conveyance. Swales are shallow, broad vegetated channels used to collect and move water to reduce peak flows in river. Their sides are slightly sloped and they are flat at the bottom. Ideally, they are installed in areas which do not have steep slopes. Swales provide temporary storage and infiltration by storing and conveying storm water runoff, and they remove pollutants by encouraging infiltration. Permeable pavement is not just composed of material which is permeable or porous, but relies on gaps and voids in surfacing to allow infiltration. Porous and permeable surfaces allow water to infiltrate through the surface itself and reduces and delays runoff and peak flows in watercourses. There are also alternatives to pavement such as wood chippings or recycled aggregates, which also have the same effect. Rain gardens help to deal with rainfall more effectively and could be combined with rainwater harvesting measures. They are shallow depressions with absorbent, free draining soil and vegetation, which can withstand occasional inundation. Rain gardens are an infiltration method which increase the amount of water entering the soil and in turn reduce the rates of runoff and volumes of surface water. Infiltration basins are shallow features where stormwater runoff is stored until it gradually infiltrates through the soil of the basin floor. An overflow may be required for extreme rainfall events which exceed the capacity of the basin. Infiltration basins can be expected to remove a large proportion of solids and a lower proportion of soluble pollutants. It should be noted that SuDS are not designed to treat sewage or heavily contaminated runoff. Sewage systems are separate and intended for the collection and treatment of human waste and other wastewater. So what are the essential criteria of the grant? The project must be in Wales. If it's cross-border, the Welsh element will be the only element considered. The funding request will be between £15,000 and £30,000. The project must be for an existing site, i.e. a retrofit scheme. The images in the slide show the Welsh statutory guidance and standards that apply to the new developments. From January 7th, 2019, all new developments of more than one dwelling or where the construction area is 100 meters squared or more will require surface drainage systems for surface water. The SuDS must be designed and built in accordance to statutory SuDS standards published by Welsh ministers, and SuDS schemes must be improved by local authority acting in its SuDS approving body, otherwise known as SAB's, role, before construction work can begin. Mandatory SuDS on new developments, including redevelopments, are needed as surface water flooding is a serious problem. The impact on people, community, and the cost to the Welsh economy is significant. The risk of flooding is on the rise owing to climate change and urbanisation. In particular, local flooding due to the overloading of volume-constrained drainage systems and sewers is of increasing concern. Surface water runoff can be an important source of diffuse pollution. The potential damage to our groundwater and rivers from polluted surface water runoff increases with each new development. The SuDS approval board is established to evaluate and approve drainage systems for new developments, where construction work has drainage implications, and adopt and maintain such schemes subject to the conditions and exemptions specified in the 2010 Act. So the new developments under the new standards in Wales must adhere to the statutory standards that we have in Wales. The Sustainable Drainage Concept Design Grant is focused on sustainable drainage interventions on existing sites, i.e. retrofit application of SuDS to tackle existing issues. Although these standards apply for new developments, the SuDS approach is increasingly being applied to existing developments to manage sewerage drainage capacity and local flood risk problems. The statutory standards therefore provide a useful framework for the delivery of retrofit schemes. The requirement for SAB approval applies to the use of SuDS on new developments, including redevelopments. SABs are also becoming more interested in retrofit SuDS schemes, so please engage with your local SAB regarding any SuDS approval early on. A feasibility report should have been undertaken for the project sites that you're applying for within this grant application. This grant program is organised to align closely with the RIBA Work Plan of Work 2020, which is a document that details all stages in construction projects outlining the planning, design, and building process from concept to completion on site. This grant program will be within RIBA Stage 2 to develop the concept design report. We ran a feasibility grant program last year, RIBA Stage 1, and the current grant round will require applicants to demonstrate that they have completed a feasibility report. This grant cannot be spent on undertaking a feasibility study for retrofit schemes. And now my colleague Helen will talk you through the objectives.
Thanks, Lewis. Okay, so this slide really details what the purpose of this grant is, what we're trying to achieve. And this grant is to support the development of small-scale retrofit SuDS, sustainable drainage schemes in Wales on existing sites. So we have a total fund of £300,000 available for concept design grants ranging between 15 and 30,000. And this Sustainable Drainage Concept Design Grant will enable individuals, community groups and others to undertake concept design studies with the potential to develop small-scale schemes via a future competitive grant stage. And the main programme objective is outlined there in Priority 1. I appreciate it's a lot of words on a slide to look at, but these are also available on our website if you want to look at them in a bit more detail on our grants page. And so the main objective there is in bold, which I've just kind of detailed. What we're trying to achieve is to deliver small-scale retrofit SuDS schemes. And priorities 2 to 6 are really just about bringing in those extra opportunities for delivering multiple benefits. And within your application, the more of those objectives that you can hit, they will attract a higher score when we're doing the scoring. And these are around, well-being, health, community engagement, biodiversity and ecology and such things. And these are a few other things to consider as part of your application, monitoring future maintenance costs and responsibilities of the potential schemes, and any permissions and consents that you might need should all be kind of considered at an early stage. If you do need any permits, consents, or any type of permission from NRW or anywhere else, you will need to complete this in addition to your application for funding. So please ensure that you build time into this within your grant project plan. So these are our 3 priority areas within this grant. And the map there is showing the Welsh Opportunity Catchment Map. And that and the WFD regulations protected areas such as water dependent SACs are on Waterwatch Wales, and you can see them there as a layer. If you click on WFD Cycle 3 Rivers and Water Bodies, you'll get a range of options for the layers on the right hand side of the map, and you can use that to display the locations and see where your site location is in terms of where it falls in opportunity catchments and WFD protected areas. You can also go onto our website, the NRW website, where there is a WFD protected area register, and also the flood risk areas can be looked at via a postcode search on there as well. All of that information is on the grants area of our website with the links there. And applications within these priority areas will receive a higher score, but applications from all areas of Wales are eligible. So there are a couple of wordy slides. I do apologise, but we do need to kind of get across that, who can apply. So as you can see there, I think this is fairly standard across our grants, individuals, public sector organisations, registered charities, just going to admit that person there, universities, other higher education institutions, third sector and private sector organisations. And as per the last grant round, we do ask that lead applicants have evidence of having delivered at least one SuDS scheme in the past, in the last decade, or provide confirmation of gaining technical support from a partner who does have that experience in delivering SuDS schemes on the ground that can provide you with the support that you need. And this is an outline of what you can spend the grant on. Any direct project costs, equipment, contractors, consultants, professional fees associated with the project, overheads capped at 15% of the project staff costs, survey, monitoring, including equipment, community engagement, activities, and I think within this SuDS grant, community engagement is a really important factor that you'll need to consider, and the costs of any grants and permissions that you might need. Skip something here, no. Okay, so there are quite a few things that you can't spend the grant on. Most of them are fairly self-explanatory, but I'll just run through the main ones to look at. So I've got there in bold, you can't spend the money for new developments, including redevelopments. As Lewis has already outlined, there is a legal requirements under the SuDS statutory standards to include those as part of your planning process. So if you know that you need to meet the SuDS legal requirements for a new or redevelopment, you cannot use the grant for this. This grant is not a way of circumnavigating any legal requirements that exist in Wales or paying to meet existing requirements that you need to meet. This grant, as Lewis explained, uses a SuDS statutory standards as a framework for the development and delivery of retrofit schemes. Although these standards apply for developments which include road drainage, they are not intended to be applied for the trunk road network managed by the Welsh Government. There are equivalent provisions for SuDS for these roads contained within volume 4 of the design manual for roads and bridges. And the other bullets there are a fairly, self-explanatory, but I'll run through them quickly. Any survey or monitoring not linked to the capital works proposed, funding your organisation's core activities, ongoing management or maintenance works, anything outside of Wales, funding commercial or profit-making activities, and maintenance costs of public rights of way. There is another slide that continues on from this. Schemes where work is already completed or is underway, or for ongoing management or maintenance, personal study or pursuits of individual academic professional qualifications, work within NRW statutory remit. So this again applies to the new developments. NRW is a statutory consultee specified in the legislation for sustainable drainage regarding new developments, and the SAB, the Subs Approval Board, may consult with us. NRW may offer pre-application advice on our website in relation to the planning process. However, as I've already mentioned, this grant cannot be spent on new and redevelopments which require sustainable drainage by law. We can't use this money to fund other grant programmes. The costs should exclude VAT unless you have no plans to be VAT registered. Activities which you currently or will have a duty to discharge through the planning conditions. And at the end there, as we've already mentioned, we're trying to move forwards through the stages of this grant programme. And so this cannot be spent on undertaking a feasibility study. We expect that to have already taken place because this is a concept design grant. And as we're moving to River Stage 2, development or for the retrofit SuD schemes, as I mentioned, we already funded the feasibility round. Here are a few things that you'll need to provide as part of your application process. So we do ask that you provide a copy of the feasibility report that you've undertaken for the project site that you are applying for within this grant application. So as I mentioned, we already ran a previous feasibility round, so it's an opportunity for those that applied last time to move on into the concept design stage, and it's an opportunity for those that didn't that have a feasibility study that you've already done through another means to apply for this grant also to develop the concept design. And the feasibility report should include details of the expected benefits that you hope to achieve by the SuD system, including any details of any surface water runoff destinations, surface water runoff hydraulic control, and water quality management. So on this grant application form, if and when you do apply for the grant, on the form under what evidence you've used to develop the project, you can select other and attach your feasibility study on the following page. So each retrofit sustainable drainage scheme will be unique due to a number of factors, including location, existing issues present, the services present, and the nature of any existing developments. The expected benefits for each scheme, therefore, may differ. So within your application, we'd like to see any relevant measurements that demonstrate what your project could potentially achieve. The bullet points listed here are only a few examples of some of the potential measurable benefits or outcomes that could be achieved. So there is some flexibility there, and there are some tools available out there to help you estimate the expected benefits. The benefits estimation tool is just one of those. So here's a timeline of this grant round. So we launched on the 7th. The application window closes at the end of June. And by September, we expect the award letters to go out. And by the end of February next year is the final claim date. And The delivery window, therefore, will be approximately 6 months to deliver the concept design study. Here's just a high-level overview of the scoring. So the 6 objectives that I mentioned earlier, we'll be looking at those within the scoring to see how well those objectives are met. You'll be scored on the alignment with those 6 objectives for developing the concept design for retrofit small-scale SuDS schemes, plus the multiple benefits objectives. And we'll also be looking at evidence of previous scheme delivery, as I mentioned in our previous slide, or technical support from a partner who has experience in delivering this kind of SuDS schemes. We'll be looking at the alignment with the 3 priority areas, and as I mentioned earlier, those aligning well with the priority areas will attract a higher score. Proposals should consider the latest technical guidance, and evidence of this will be considered during the scoring process. The application will be scored on evidence provided of early engagement plans with community and residents. As I mentioned, it's very important that we do engage with communities on these schemes at an early stage, so we'll be looking at that during the scoring process. Any match funding, detail that in your application, and applications with match funding will attract a higher score. And general application questions. There are multiple questions to score the project in relation to its structure, governance, delivery confidence, risk identification, partners engaged, diversity, Welsh language, costings, and the quality of the evidence provided will impact on the scoring. And more information on the scoring process is available on our website on the grants section. Anwen, it's over to you.
Thanks, Helen. Bore da pawb. I'll just be going through a few slides now to give you an overview of what to expect as part of the application process. So our grant process is designed around Cabinet Office guidance, which outlines 6 key steps that we follow in all of our grant programmes. This takes our grants through from design and development right through to final evaluation. We're currently at the market engagement stage, and then we'll move across to the assessment stage after the application closing date. Just to note here, you may be involved with different NRW colleagues at different stages of the process. This is to ensure that we can keep a clear separation of duties to make sure that we're fair and consistent to all applicants. The link to our application form is now online. Before you can make an application, you'll first need to request a reference number. To do this, you'll need to go to the SuDS grant webpage, and included in the section on how to apply, you'll find a green button that you can click on to request your reference number. An email will then be sent to you by our grants team, which will include your reference number and links to the application form and our grants guidance pages. If you have any queries at any stage, please direct these to the grant inquiries email address, and we'll forward your query on for advice. This will help us maintain separation of duties and prevent any delays later in the process. Our application form is tailored in a way that will only ask you the relevant information based on partner type. So there are 4 main sections within the form, and you will have the option to save the information as you complete it, allowing you to save and return to it later. There are certain fields where you'll be prompted to upload information, such as the project plan and cost breakdown template, as well as identification documents if you're applying as an individual. The deadline for submitting your application is the 30th of June, and as this is a competitive round, we can only accept applications submitted up until that point. The first section of the form will ask for your details, so name, address, company information. If you're applying as an individual, then we'll need a copy of a recent utility bill and certified copy of your passport or driving licence to confirm your identity. If you're applying as a third sector organisation, you'll need to upload your governing documents here. So part B of the application form is all about the detail of your proposal. So project title, description of the work that you want to do, project start and end dates, and the amount being requested from us. You'll need to detail any permissions and consents required and clearly demonstrate how your proposal meets the criteria. As mentioned earlier by Helen, a copy of your completed feasibility report needs to be provided with the application, so please ensure this is uploaded in the evidence section. You'll also have the opportunity to upload location maps, and you'll need to upload a completed project plan template. So your project plan is all about showing us the logic of how your proposal will deliver against the outcomes of the programmes. The activities are the things you'll be doing which will lead to the outputs. The plan should be grouped according to claim periods and the expected value of each claim. For all the outputs, you'll need to provide evidence. This could be in the form of an invoice, a report, or copy of consent, and we'll also include some standard and programme-specific requirements here. If successful, the outputs and evidence will form part of your award letter along with the claim value and dates. Ultimately, the work you do and the outputs that are produced should lead to longer-term outcomes that will deliver for the programme. So these outcomes may be longer than the life of the grant. So as part of this project plan template, you'll also need to provide a breakdown of your costs. So the financial delivery plan is broken down into sections. Project expenditure. To complete this section, you'll need to use the drop-down boxes to select the relevant expenditure. To do this, click on the cell that you would like to complete and an arrow will appear on the right-hand side with a drop-down menu. If there's any expenditure that is not included within our menus, you may enter this in the cell which says other, and then if you can provide a description of that cost is, we can assess that and assign it to the correct category, the most appropriate category. Please provide us with as much detail as possible, so a separate line for each member of staff and their role, type of equipment to be purchased, etc. We currently allow 15% of project staff costs to be claimed as overheads. If you believe your overheads will be greater than that, please ask us to provide you with an additional form which will allow you to claim full cost recovery. Please note we'll need full evidence of any full cost recovery arrangements to support the expenditure. Moving on to the next section in this template, the project funding. So whilst the grant does offer 100% funding, we will look favourably on any match funding. So this section allows you to detail any additional funding that you'll be receiving from any other sources. There's also a table where you can detail any in-kind funding. So if you intend to use any volunteers to complete your project, you'll need to enter the roles that the volunteers will take against the headings of unskilled, skilled and professionally qualified. The individual rates are automatically populated, so you'll only need to enter the number of hours. So please, when completing this template, please ensure you familiarise yourself with the grant information pages so that your application meets the specific requirements. For example, the size of the grant, so minimum of 15,000 and a maximum of 30,000, and that your final claim date must be made by the 28th of Feb 2026. So Part C of the application form is about how you will manage your project, and you will be asked to describe the main risks and how you plan to manage them. If you have any formal delivery partners, you'll be asked to upload a copy of any signed agreements, along with any other policies that may be relevant, such as equality and diversity, Welsh language policy and procurement policy.
The final part of the application is the detail around funding arrangements, and we'll ask you to specify if you're in receipt of or have applied for any other funding for this project. If you're a newly formed organisation of less than 6 months and do not have a set of accounts, we'll also need to ask you for the last 3 months' bank statements or a letter from your bank confirming you have opened an account with them. So at the end of your form, you'll be asked to declare any potential conflicts of interest. It's really important for you to inform us of any conflicts, as this will help us take the necessary precautions to ensure that our project assessors and panel are not conflicted. An example of a conflict would be if you were related to an NRW employee, and failure to declare any conflicts is likely to cause delays to the process, which we clearly want to avoid. You'll finally be asked to review your application before submitting. Please make sure you review the information carefully and that all the relevant documents have been uploaded successfully. We're unable to amend any applications after they've been submitted. Once we receive your application, we'll conduct some initial checks before undertaking a financial assessment. NRW's financial assessment is completed by our grants team, and it's tailored based on the partner type and includes standard due diligence checks, proportionate based on value and risk. We cover Know Your Applicant, which may include checking a company's status or reviewing identification documents for individuals, reviewing financial health, so this could include reviewing an applicant's accounts and undertaking credit checks. We'll also review other sources of funding, which includes checking for sources of funding, both internal and external, and also ensuring compliance with the subsidy control regime. There will be also an area of special concern, so this will include reviewing any potential conflicts of interest that's been declared in your form. So in parallel with completing the financial assessment, we'll arrange for the application to be sent to at least 2 assessors who will review the proposal and score against the specific questions. Details of the questions and scorings are provided on the web pages. An assessment panel meeting will then be arranged to ensure consistency and rank all projects by score before making recommendations for funding. If your application is successful, we'll issue the award letter via DocuSign, and you'll have 28 days to check the details and return this to us. A welcome pack will also be sent to provide you with further guidance on managing your grant and include links to the templates needed to submit and evidence your claims, as well as any additional programme reporting requirements. If you're not successful this time, we'll write to you and provide you with feedback where possible. So to help you with your application, if you need further guidance, please refer to the grant guidance pages on the internet pages. You can also contact the grants team, who will coordinate a response to your query. Please do not contact any NRW staff directly, as this may delay the process due to our need to maintain the separation of duties. And so that completes my overview of the grants and application process. I hope that was helpful. I'll just hand back over to you now. Thanks, Helen. Yeah.